China's 16-year-old Ph.D. prodigy now lying flat, relying on parents. China, bears lying down on a rock raises suspicions of being impersonated. China bites itself after banning semiconductor material exports. Navy intelligence slide, China's shipbuilding capacity more than 200 times greater than US. It's all covered in today's China Truths. China's 16-year-old Ph.D. prodigy now lying flat, relying on parents. Zhang Xinyang, a 28-year-old Chinese youth from Liaoning, studied for a doctorate at the age of 16. He was once known as a child prodigy. It took him 8 years to obtain a doctorate. Now he has no permanent job and only a few thousand yuan left in his bank card. He is relying on his parents for financial support. However, he expressed satisfaction with his current situation, at least with this way he doesn't have to see other people. In a recent interview with the Chinese media Zhipai News, Zhang Xinyang said, "If I could do it all over again, I would still be Li Bai. How could I be so humble to the powerful and make me unhappy?" Zhang Xinyang has become famous since he was at the age of 10. Zhang has shown extraordinary mathematical talents since he was a child. He has won multiple gold medals in international mathematics competitions and has attracted the public's attention. He took the college entrance examination, equivalent to the university entrance exam, when he was 10 years old, but his results were not satisfactory. He was admitted to Tianjin Engineering College and became the youngest college student in China. Zhang was then admitted to Beijing University of Technology for a master's degree at the age of 13, breaking the record for the youngest master's degree student in China. In 2011, the 16-year-old man was admitted to the doctoral program in applied mathematics at Beihang University, becoming the youngest doctoral student in China. However, he said in an interview with Zhipai News that he had asked his parents to buy a house in Beijing as a condition for participating in the defense of his master's thesis, otherwise he would not take the doctoral examination. After causing great controversy at the time, he has disappeared from public view for many years. In 2019, Zhang Xinyang finally completed his Ph.D. after 8 years. Some netizens said they could not find his doctoral thesis. In response, Zhang said his thesis can be found on the website of the National Library. He said that it took him 5 years to write his doctoral thesis, and he passed the graduation deadline just a few days before it was published. Zhang Xinyang admitted that, from the perspective of scientific research, he was a complete loser. In accordance with the standards of Western universities, he would not have been able to graduate with a doctorate. After graduating with his doctorate, Zhang worked as an external teacher at Ningxia Normal University. He resigned in August 2021 and is currently partnering with friends to take on projects to make money. He rented a house in Shanghai with a monthly rent of 2,200 yuan, approximately $300. While working as a teacher, Zhang Xinyang saved 50,000 yuan, but now it is almost all spent. He said, "Almost every 2 or 3 months, my parents will take the initiative to give me 10,000 yuan. I don't have a fixed salary now. I only get paid for completing each project. Now I can get about 50,000 yuan after this project." Zhang said that now he only has a few thousand yuan left on his bank account, but he is unwilling to work for others. He said, "You work for others and you still want wealth and freedom? Are you kidding me?" He added, "Times have changed. No one will starve to death now. Instead, you can live a happy life just waiting to die. If you start a business blindly and mess around, you will easily lose yourself." Zhang said his parents did not fully agree with this, but he said that he has been in fierce conflict with them throughout 2022 about his career development. He said they clearly don't understand anything but still want to give him advice. However, Zhang said he is quite satisfied with his current life. "I am unemployed and light-weighted. I can live without working for the rest of my life. Not only can I rely on my parents, but also my parents' parents, my parents' parents' parents. I don't necessarily have much of my family assets left now. But at least our family has had a glorious life. Zhang also said, if you really need anything, just call my dad. They still owe me a house in Beijing, which should be worth more than 10 million yuan by now. Now when asked again, are you a child prodigy? Zhang said, I don't think so. He said that he is basically satisfied with himself. Professor Zhang Yaohui, his instructor at the university, said in an interview with Zhipai News that he has known Zhang Xinyang for almost 20 years and that he has changed a lot. The professor said that Zhang is now less talkative than before. In the past, Zhang would speak out when he had ideas, but now he has indeed experienced too many setbacks. Professor Zhang Yuhui told Chinese media that Zhang Xinyang has a strong ability to learn independently, but a poor ability to live independently. Everything is done by his father. The professor finally gave Zhang Xinyang a piece of advice: at this age, you can no longer hesitate. You must make a decision on what to do and never lie flat. China, bears lying down on a rock raises suspicions of being impersonated. Recently, Chinese public opinion has been stirred by a video showing two sun bears relaxing on a concrete slab in a zoo. The video shows a pair of bears lounging on a rock to relax, while one of them raises its paw to greet guests, raising suspicions that they are humans dressed in bear costumes. They turn their heads to face the camera and the rest of their bodies remain the same. One of them even raises his hand in the air as if it is waving to the visiting guests. An image also shows that one bear keeps its front limbs parallel to the body, while its hind limbs are stretched out. The video has attracted a lot of comments on social media platforms in China. Many people think that with those gestures, it could be someone impersonating the bears. One netizen wrote, "Look at the appearance of the two animals, no different from people wearing bear costumes to pretend to be." The public in China is waiting for a response from the zoo representative. This is not the first time suspicions of people impersonating animals have occurred at the zoo in China. In August 2023, a zoo in Hangzhou City, Zhejiang Province, was also caught up in suspicion of fake bears to serve visitors. A video recorded the moment a sun bear stood in the cage with its hind legs and its front legs waving to the audience. At that same time, the number of visitors to the zoo skyrocketed. Chao News reported that every day, the number of visitors to the Hangzhou Zoo reached 20,000. Many people want to see with their own eyes whether that is really a sun bear or a person in disguise. Netizens' doubts about the authenticity of the video are not completely unfounded. Viewers pointed out unusual features in the video. Those are the bear's movements that look like human movements. There are also hidden clothing-like folds in the bear's fur when the animal walks. Faced with rumors, a representative of Hangzhou Zoo denied suggestions some of its bears might be people in costumes, and declared that deceiving visitors is something that should never happen at a state-run facility. After that, the zoo was also vindicated by many wildlife experts. Dr. Ashley Marshall, an expert from Chester Zoo, confirmed on BBC that this is a real bear. The expert explained that the folds on the animal's back are proof. This excess skin is an area that protects the animal from attackers, making it easier for them to turn their body. Sun bears are the smallest bear species in the world, originating from Southeast Asia. They are quite small compared to North American grizzly bears. China bites itself after banning semiconductor material exports. Just 1 month after the export curbs on semiconductor materials went into effect, China is embarrassed again. The Ministry of Commerce and the General Administration of Customs of China issued an announcement on the implementation of export controls on gallium and germanium-related items on July 3. In the announcement, they emphasized that the ban, effective from August 1, is designed to safeguard national security and interests. Because gallium and germanium are both semiconductor materials, the announcement triggered turbulence in the international market and a wave of stockpiling. Consequently, their prices in the international market increased by more than 20%. About a month after the ban was implemented, the shipments were limited, the demand was sluggish, and inventory accumulation occurred in China, which instead affected China's domestic market prices. Reuters cited the quotation data from China's metal information platform Shanghai Metals Market reported that the domestic market price of gallium fell by 9% at the end of August from a month earlier to 1,655 yuan per kg on August 31st. The spot price of germanium ingot little changed during the month, closing at 9,700 yuan per kg at the end of August, helped by tightening supply. However, its price dropped significantly compared with early July. According to data released by the General Administration of Customs of China on September 20th, the country's exports of germanium and gallium products plummeted in August following the new export controls on the two chip-making metals. The data showed that there were also no exports of wrought gallium products in August, after 5.15 tons were 5.15 tons in July. China also exported no wrought germanium products in August, after a shipment of 8.63 metric tons in July. In July, the export volume of these two semiconductor metals surged as overseas buyers were eager to purchase them before the ban from August. China announced the restrictions on the export of 8 gallium and 6 germanium products starting August 1st. It is the latest salvo in a trade war between China and the U.S. over access to materials used in making high-tech microchips. According to the new regulations, exporters of gallium and germanium products need to obtain an export license from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce through provincial commerce authorities. A trader said that it takes about 45 days to process an export license application. However, a Bloomberg report pointed out that China's restrictions on key metals are a double-edged knife. Although it can highlight China's importance in the global supply chain, it is likely to accelerate the buyers' imports from other countries and reduce their dependence on China. This move may make it more economical to expand production in other countries such as Japan, Canada, and the United States. In addition, according to analysis by the British Critical Minerals Intelligence Center, although China accounts for 94% of the world's gallium metal production, this type of metal is not particularly rare or difficult to obtain, but the cost of mining abroad is higher than in China. Now that China has implemented the export restrictions, it may weaken its market dominance, giving foreign manufacturers more incentive to move production lines out of China and accelerating the trend of supply chain diversification. Navy intelligence slide: China's shipbuilding capacity more than 200 times greater than U.S. A leaked U.S. Office of Naval Intelligence (ONI) slide is garnering concern about the Chinese regime's continued capability to produce naval vessels at an alarmingly faster rate than the United States. The leaked graphic depicts shipyards in China as being able to build new naval vessels at a rate that's 232 times greater than that of the United States. The ONI confirmed its authenticity to the Drive, which first published the slide. This outsized capacity to support China's People's Liberation Army (PLA) Navy has caused some analysts to raise the alarm that the United States won't be able to close the gap for many years to come. Retired Captain James Fannell, a former Director of Intelligence and Information Operations for the U.S. Pacific Fleet, doesn't share the same level of pessimism, although he does acknowledge the challenges involved in rebuilding the United States' shipbuilding capacity. He says closing the gap with the Chinese regime will require a dramatic shift in the policy of unaccountable engagement that now characterizes the Biden administration. Mr. Fannell said, "The challenges are also greater than just political will. There is an issue of America's shipbuilding industry that has gone into disrepair since World War II." He said, "Despite a few political hurdles, America is a nation of optimism and the can-do attitude that will be essential to any effort to close that gap." According to the ONI, the Chinese regime's navy consisted of 355 vessels in 2020, while the United States had 296 vessels. By 2035, China is expected to reach an estimated 475 ships, while the United States would reach 305 to 317. Mr. Fannell said, while U.S. Navy leadership is concerned about the growth and capabilities of the PLA Navy, what has not happened is that any single U.S. Navy admiral resigns their commission over the lack of response to this threat to America's national security. The recent O&I slide is a stark reminder of the cataclysmic decline in the U.S. shipbuilding industry, one that the United States dominated just 80 years ago during World War II. America became a great power because it was a seafaring nation, and we will suffer defeat the more we deny this history. In 1949, more than a dozen U.S. Navy admirals were willing to put their careers on the line to speak out about what they felt was a dangerous approach to defeating the USSR with just strategic bomber aircraft. Their willingness to put national security before their careers paid off as the U.S. Navy laid the foundations for creating a nuclear aircraft carrier fleet that ruled the waves of the globe for the next 60 years and ensured the safety and prosperity of America, our allies, and even our enemies. How to close the gap. Mr. Fannell says Congress must pass and fund similar legislation to the Two-Ocean Navy Act that was passed in 1940 and allowed the country to increase its naval presence and capabilities in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. He said, the similarities between the strategic environment today and 1940 are too great to ignore. For example, Russia has invaded Ukraine, threatening Europe, while the Chinese regime continues to conduct large-scale operations with warships and aircraft around Taiwan and into the Philippine Sea. He said, America's ingenuity should be unleashed to build up our fleet of warships. For instance, we should be able to build a fleet of unmanned warships, along with equipping our existing mothball fleet with supersonic/hypersonic anti-ship cruise missiles that could turn these retired combatants into arsenal ships that could be used to sink the People's Liberation Army Navy invasion fleet. U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Michael Studman said during a presentation at a naval conference in February, "It's disturbing how ill-informed and naive the average American is on China." Mr. Fannell said, Americans are ignorant of the threat from the People's Republic of China and their Navy. But he doesn't blame the American people. Mr. Fannell said, it is primarily the fault of our national security community who have failed for 20 years to inform the people of America of the threat from Communist China. That education needs to go into overdrive. The threat from the PLA Navy isn't just confined to the Western Pacific, but it is now approaching Hawaii, and if left unchecked, will be off the U.S. West Coast in less than a decade. This isn't a theoretical threat, it is a very real threat, a nuclear threat. America is in a dire situation, but the will and determination to save our nation from Chinese communism can reverse the situation. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths, and thank you for tuning in.